All right, welcome everybody to Volunteering with CCS, a Canadian perspective. I just wanted to take a moment and say hello. My name is Jelena, and we also have Hien on the line. Hi, Hien.
Hi, everybody. I'm so glad you guys are all here to join us.
Yeah, it should be great. Canadians are awesome, so it predisposes this presentation to being great. So we just wanted to take some time and talk about how Canadians are an integral part of cross-cultural solutions and what it's like to volunteer as a Canadian. So we're just going to have a quick look at our agenda today. So I'll leave that up to Hien to switch on over. All right. So for our agenda, we're going to go through the quick introductions of who we are, and then we're going to talk a little bit more about cross-cultural solutions, just talk about what the organization is about, its structure, to demystify it a little bit, and then we're going to talk about why CCS would be the right organization for you to choose. And we have some special guests with us here today, some alumni who have done the program before. Kaylee Day, Erica Plant, and Natasha Rollings. You guys are in for a treat. And then, of course, we're going to take some questions from you guys. And the next steps, that is referring to the next steps that you can take to become a volunteer with cross-cultural solutions. All right. So we're going to move on to... Oh.
There you go.
Great. All right, so I'll introduce myself. I am Jelena De Silva. I'm a program advisor, so I help people find the program that's right for them, answer any questions that they might have, and I'm the program advisor for Canada. So I'm actually speaking to you from Toronto right now, and I'm an alumna of the Cross-Cultural Solutions South Africa program and Guatemala. And Hien?
Hi, everybody. As Jelena just said, I'm Hien. I'm a program advisor, and basically, our jobs as program advisors are we are here in the office taking in all of your calls and answering all of your questions. We're all former volunteers ourselves, and I'm actually a former volunteer of our Costa Rica program, as well as our India program. I just got back from there a couple months ago, so yeah, I had a great time at both programs, and I definitely would love to share more of my experience with you all. And on the bottom, we have pictures of our lovely alumni. To the left is Kaylee Day. She is a 3-time alum of our program in Morocco, as well as our program in Tanzania. Erica Plante is in the middle. She's an alum of our program in Tanzania. And then to the right is Natasha Rollings, who interned with us in Morocco. You'll be hearing from these lovely ladies in just a bit, more about their stories and their specific volunteer placements and why they chose to volunteer here. So, so let's keep going.
Awesome. Did the ladies want to say hello really quickly?
Hi, everyone.
Hi. Yay, there they are. And they're all Canadian. It's amazing. Great. All right. Thanks, Hien. Awesome. Okay, so I'm just going to talk a little bit about cross-cultural solutions and our programs and how they work. We are a recognized leader in the volunteer abroad world. We've been operating since 1995, so over 15 years, and we are actually closer to 30,000 volunteers now than we are at 26,000. So that's really exciting. That's a milestone that we're crossing soon. So we have a variety of different programs that people can take part in. Our flagship program is Volunteer Abroad. This is located in all 12 of our country locations within Latin America, Africa, Asia, and Eastern Europe. It gives people the option to go anywhere from 2 to 12 weeks in length. You choose the country, you choose your start date, you choose how long you'd like to go for within weekly increments, so anywhere from 2 to 12 weeks. And yeah, it's just a really well-run program. We see the most people go abroad with this particular program, Volunteer Abroad. Next up, we have Intern Abroad. And it's like the Volunteer Abroad program. You still have your volunteer work. You can still choose which country you would like to go to, for how long, when you would like to go. What we've done is we've infused the program with an academic structure. So you have the option of choosing an area of interest, either education, social services, or healthcare. So you choose your area of interest, and then you are placed according to your area of interest. You have an intern supervisor. You're given extra assignments. If you are enrolled in university or an educational program, then you can use this program towards academic credit. We actually have the means with which for you to do that. So it's a really well-structured program. If you like structure, if you don't mind having less free time, then Intern Abroad is definitely for you. Next up, we have Insight Abroad, another really popular program. It's a one-week program, so if you can only get away for a week, if you only have a little bit of time, you still want to get out there and help and see the world, this is an excellent program. It's more of a group-based project. The two before, we're placing you individually. This one, you're going to be coming into the country to do a group project that is ongoing within the community. So it's usually a beautifying project, working with children, working with the elderly, on top of learning about that culture while you're there too. So just a really great program. And then last but not least, we have our Teen Volunteer Abroad program. It runs in the summertime in 6 of our countries, I believe, anywhere from 1 to 3 weeks in length. So if you know any teens, this one is awesome. It's fully supervised, 24 hours a day. Our in-country staff are there for the teens if you need absolutely anything. The countries love the teen volunteers. They're just so passionate, so energetic. It's a lot of work within the community with other youth, typically. And then, of course, we have a lot of extra activities for the teens to do outside of that. So just a really great opportunity to, infuse that love of travel early on and end of service early on in life. So great program. So the CCS experience, we're a unique organization. We go for a really good balance of volunteer work, cultural and learning activities or education, free time, and then, of course, the home base. So the volunteer work, you're going to wake up in the morning, you're going to go to your placement, you're going to do your work, you're going to come back to the home base where you're staying, and then take part in cultural and learning activities. And these are really an integral part of the program. They give you that much more insight into the culture that you have come to help. They help you connect more with the people at your placements, and they help you feel like you're less of a tourist, basically. They really immerse you in the culture there. So things like language lessons, tours throughout town, a chance to have guest speakers come and talk to you about your time, about the culture there. And then, of course, free time. We want you to be able to make the trip something that is specific to your experience. So, if you want to go out and travel, go out and see this country, please do. That's where the free time comes in. And then, of course, we have our home base. Now, I personally love this about cross-cultural solutions. It's in each of our countries, we have a house where all of the volunteers stay together. Our in-country staff are there with the volunteers. So you have a chance to meet some amazing people, so like-minded from all around the world that have come to volunteer as well. All of your meals are served here. It's super safe. We have security at all of these locations. And it's just a really great place to come and decompress after a long day of volunteering. Now, all of this is covered within the program fee, and the volunteer does cover the program fee. And separate from that is their airfare. So that is what this is going towards. It's going towards your meals, your accommodation, your ground transportation, travel and medical insurance, all the preparation to receive ahead of time. And this is covered by the volunteer, so that's important to know. And 91% of it goes directly to operating the program, the other 9% towards administration costs. And it's important for Canadians to know, this is the major difference, it's important for Canadians to know that it's not tax deductible. And the reason for this is we are registered as a nonprofit within Canada, but not as a charity. Charity laws are a little bit stricter within Canada than they are in the States. Therefore, we're not actually able to offer tax deductibility to our Canadian citizens. You would think this is a major hurdle, but as a past volunteer myself who fundraised for the program, I thought it would be an issue. It wasn't at all. And once you see how cross-cultural solutions is structured, you do realize that it is quite worth it. So just an important note for Canadians to know. Alrighty, next slide. Okay, our approach and why it works. This is what really attracted me to cross-cultural solutions as a Canadian, was their approach. They respect the locals and their expertise, and they put what the community needs first. And I think this really reflects how Canadians are. You know, when people come to Canada, we integrate their culture. It's a very multicultural place. You know, I'm talking to you from Toronto, and Toronto is very much that. It's a mosaic of different cultures all come together, and we respect each other's backgrounds, where we come from, and we just want to learn, like, how do you do things? Well, we do it this way. And CCS is very much the same in that respect. So that really attracted me to cross-cultural solutions as a Canadian, because we're going to defer to the needs of the community and their expertise. And we have a lot of partner programs in country. So what this means is we'll come to a community and we'll say, hey, what have you guys got on the go? You've got schools, you've got daycares, orphanages, elderly care facilities, just to name a few. How can we help what you're already doing? And we're going to send a steady stream of sustainable volunteers to help out with the needs of organizations. And we also want to make sure that the volunteer is doing what they would like to do. And that's where our skills and interest survey comes in. So the skills and interest survey is a detailed questionnaire in which you, as the volunteer, tell us about you and what you would like to do, what you feel comfortable doing. And then that information goes directly in country. The in-country staff, the locals in the community, use that information to place you according to what you feel comfortable doing, as well as what the community has specifically asked for. So you know you're asked for, you know you're meeting the needs of the community, and you know you're going to be doing something that you feel confident doing. I told them I have a background in psychology, I love sports, I love kids, and I ended up working at a local grade school as an assistant phys ed teacher. So we do a really good job of that. We're going to support you from start to finish. Starting with someone like myself, a program advisor, we're going to tell you which country might be best for you. We're going to demystify the program, answer any questions that you might have over the phone, through emails. Once you enroll in the program, once you've decided, yes, I'm going to do this, I'm going to put down my initial deposit towards the program fee, you're contacted right away by a program site specialist. And this is someone who has volunteered in the country before. They're an expert in volunteering abroad. They're going to take you through what you're going to need to do to prepare step by step. They're going to set up an account called My CCS Online. They're going to have those steps for you online. We're going to send you things through the mail. We're going to connect you with people before you even go in country. You're going to have a chance to meet all the people you're going to volunteer with. So it's just a lot of support. And so if you're feeling nervous, don't feel nervous. We're with you every step of the way. And then when you get in country, and as far as I'm concerned, these people are the absolute gem of our program, the in-country staff. These are the locals in the community. They run the program. They believe passionately in what we're doing. And they're connected directly to the community. And they're there if the volunteers need absolutely anything. And they have 10-plus years of experience, usually with international volunteering or within their own communities. Whether it's social services, education, you name it, these guys are the best. And we also have a lot of volunteer resources in country. So of course the home base, as I mentioned earlier, huge resource, great place for volunteers to come and feel safe and connect. And we also have resource rooms, so you don't even have to bring anything with you. We have it all there. We have stuff that you can continuously bring to your placements. So if you need to bring pens, pencils, notebooks. There was even a guitar when I was in South Africa that you could take to a placement and strum along in the classroom. So all that stuff is there for you. So that makes it really helpful. And there's also logbooks, which is really, really great about cross-cultural solutions. We want to, make sure that you're picking up where someone left off. If you have any questions about your placement and what to expect, you can go through these logbooks written by volunteers that came before you. So you can see what they did and just, carry on with what they were doing. Okay, safety. This is our #1 priority in our volunteer program. Starting with our travel and medical insurance and the program fee, and making sure that you are well-oriented before you even arrive in country. And when you arrive in country, we have transportation to and from the airport, transportation to and from your volunteer placement with vans with seatbelts, I might add. Very important. We have meals. All of your meals, all the snacks, all healthy, good stuff we can accommodate, you know, if you're diabetic, if you're vegan, if you're vegetarian, if you hate peanut butter, if you're allergic to peanut butter, all those things, we can accommodate those things. You just need to let us know ahead of time, and we'll be able to do that. And we also have 24-hour staff presence from our New York office to the staff in country. We're there for you if you need absolutely anything. All righty. Move on to the next one. Excellent. Okay, so we are on to our alumni discussion. I'm so excited for this. These ladies are absolutely amazing. So what we're going to do now is we're going to start with Kaylee, I believe, and we're just going to ask some questions for these ladies. You can see the questions that we're going to be going through. And they're going to share their personal experience, because I could yammer on about the program and how awesome it is, but nothing beats talking with someone who's actually done the program before, and just hearing the stories, it makes a huge difference. So, hi Kaylee, how's it going?
Hi, I'm good. How are you doing?
I'm doing really well. I'm doing really well. All right. So, you've done quite a bit of volunteering with us, my dear.
I have.
So you've been to Morocco 3 times?
3 times to Morocco, one of the best decisions I ever made.
Oh, that's so awesome. I didn't realize it was 3. That's so great. And then you recently came back from Tanzania, right?
Yes, exactly, and that's another place that I would love to visit again as well.
Awesome. No, I really love, we've met, actually, Kaylee and I met in real life. It's very exciting. And I loved how cross-cultural solutions kind of changed your life direction. I wanted you to talk a little bit about that. How did that work?
Sure, absolutely. So my very first trip to Morocco followed when I graduated from my undergraduate degree. I'd always wanted to volunteer abroad, and at that time I was kind of going into the fashion world. I worked at a magazine for 3 years interning and kind of wanted to get into publishing. And while I was in Morocco, my very first time, I just fell in love with my work there with the children, as well as many other things about the program. And when I returned back to Canada, I started to rethink some of my decisions in terms of my career. And so about a year later, after I'd returned from my second trip to Morocco, I decided to go into education, and I went back to school and became an elementary school teacher and taught at the kindergarten. And I just finished a graduate program where I was able to use my hours teaching in Tanzania as part of my program here in Toronto. So for the most part, CCS has kind of changed my life in that sense and really put me on a path working with children, in which I'm incredibly grateful for, because I'm a lot happier because of it.
That is so awesome. Oh, love it. That's great. So great. And yeah, you got to do the, did you do the intern abroad in Tanzania? Was that the program that you did?
Well, it was a possibility. I was able to cater the volunteer abroad program specifically towards, with the help of Katie, who was a wonderful site supervisor or program supervisor before leaving. I was able to cater the program specifically to my university, so she was really helpful in that sense. So it was the volunteer program. I had the option of doing the intern abroad, just I had different demands for my school, which were completely accommodated by cross-cultural solutions.
Great. What university are you at?
I went to OISE, the Ontario Institute of Studies and Education at U of T.
At U of T. So nice.
Yeah.
Great. University of Toronto. All right. Well, that kind of answers our first question. How did you feel being prepared for travel by a US-based staff member, which Katie is?
I've never, all of my experiences for all 4 trips, I worked closely with Sharon, who did the Morocco trips, and she was always very informative, super easy to reach, very helpful. It was never really an issue at all for the fact that she was in New York. It was just easy to pick up a phone or send an email. And then I had the same experience with Katie. Both were wonderful, very helpful, super friendly, and I really don't have any complaints at all.
Excellent. That's what we like to hear. All right. Well, this next question is kind of fun. I like it. If you can, and I guess you'll have to choose which trip you'll talk about, but describe the last day of your volunteer placement and how it differed from your first day.
Oh, wow.
I know, right?
I guess on pretty much every single trip I've been on with Cross-Cultural Solutions, I haven't really wanted to leave. So there's always been tears, but happy tears because I've had such an amazing experience and just made such wonderful connections and friendships with both the in-country staff in both countries and at my placements. So always just a wonderful feeling. All of my trips have lived up to my expectations or beyond, and so going home, it's wonderful to go home at the end of a trip, but always like a sense of accomplishment and that I've really been able to make a contribution, but also a bit of a sadness to have to leave and see it come to an end, but also hope to know that I will. And as you can see, I've gone back, so knowing that I'll go back.
Absolutely. Oh, no, that's great. Awesome. Yeah, actually, I'm going to pose that question to our next alumni, too, just to get everybody in on this, because that is a tough one. So, Erica, did you want to chime in and talk a little bit about what your first time in Tanzania was like, and then what your last day was like at your placement there?
Yeah, of course. So I was in a different part of Tanzania than Kaylee. Actually, there are two places, and I was in the Bagamoyo program, and basically it was at the end of my program I felt extremely cultured. First of all, it was amazing to be with the people that were there. The staff was absolutely lovely, and I feel like they made all the volunteers feel like they were at home in Tanzania. It was a very safe environment. It was amazing. I really was really sad to leave because it felt like a family away from home. And from the first day, where one, you're extremely jet-lagged, but it was still very welcoming. They picked us up at the airport, and after all the 3 flights and everything, it was very easy to come in the country and really you felt like you were taken care of right from the start. So I felt it was amazing, such a fun experience to do, and I would love to go again, absolutely. So
awesome. Oh, that's so great. Erica, please elaborate as to what this fun fact is all about and how you fundraised for your program fee. I love how you did this.
Oh, of course. So I'm also a university student. I go to the University of Ottawa for nursing, and I was going to do nursing work in Tanzania. So since I'm in Ottawa and there's the long canal that's about 8 kilometers long, I decided to do a skate-a-thon. So basically what I said is that for every $1 I raised, I would do, for every $10 I raised, I would do a kilometer of the canal. And so just so happened I ended up making $1,000 just from even letting people know what I was doing, telling them the problems that are happening in Tanzania and why people are affected so badly, and just actually educating people on the problem. They felt like to help me, and I ended up raising a lot of money that way. So
amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's so true too. When you're doing the fundraising, you're helping to educate as well as raise money for your program. It's like 2 birds with 1 stone. That's so great.
Yeah, and it was lots of fun to do it too. I went on the ice in the morning, skated all day, and yeah, I also made some videos, which I think people really appreciated. So as long as you put your mind to it, you can really do anything you want.
Absolutely, and they are on YouTube, I believe, right?
Yes, they are.
So people can see you skating up and down the Rideau.
Yeah, so I guess if you want to see them, it's just, I believe it's Skate to Tanzania. That was the title, Skate to Tanzania.
Oh, that's so awesome.
Yeah.
Oh, and speaking of education, to get our other alumni in the mix here, we have lovely Natasha Rollings on the line. And I say education because Natasha is a fabulous teacher. And Natasha went to Morocco, right, Natasha?
I did, yeah.
Excellent. And she's a huge help to me, I can tell you that. She comes by the office and hosts information sessions and talks about her amazing time in cross-cultural solutions. Do you think you can tackle that heck of a question, describe the last day of your volunteer placement and how it differed from the first?
Absolutely, yeah. I actually had the opportunity of visiting 2 different placements while I was in Morocco. My main placement was called the Ibni School for Street Children, but they were actually on their break when I arrived. So I volunteered at a hospital for a few days just playing with kids, but just for the sake of continuity for the question, I'll just talk about that school that I worked at. The very first day was, I would describe as chaotic, a little bit confusing. Definitely a little bit intimidating because though I've taught here in Canada, I've always kind of been spearheading it and I've always had a lot more control of it. Whereas I walked into 3 different classrooms with kids ranging in age from 3 years old to 5 years old and a completely different language. So definitely chaotic, definitely a little bit overwhelming and intimidating. But one of the fantastic things about CCS is the overlap of the volunteers. So I was able to go in with a girl who had been in Morocco for quite some time, a couple months already, and she had already been at the Ibni school. So she had a rapport with the kids and with the teacher, and she really helped me get set up. And after that initial chaos and that worry, I found that I quickly found my footing. And the last day, I think it was Kaylee that was talking about the tears. Definitely tears at the very end. I was so sad to leave. But happy tears. I was just absolutely thrilled at the friendships that I'd made with the kids and with the teachers. And it was just a really nice full circle moment being able to be there on that last day. Really happy with what we'd accomplished and also having another volunteer who had just arrived that week with me to kind of help get her feet wet and get her set up. And she took over for the next few weeks.
Oh, that's great. So someone was able to come in right where you left off.
Exactly, yeah.
Oh, that is so awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. Well, I know that the home base in Morocco is quite fantastic. So I wanted to ask you, what was it like living in the home base there?
It was so special. I didn't know. I think it was actually a bit of a blessing in disguise, the limited information I had about Morocco before I left. I just hadn't, it's just not a country that I knew too much about. The information that I received from Sharon, who answered every question I could think of, and so many more that I didn't even think of. But I didn't know too much about the country, so when I arrived, I was absolutely bowled over by how lush and how beautiful the country was. It was just so much more lively and just so much more prosperous in so many ways than I expected. I cannot speak highly enough about the in-country staff who were at the home base all the time. Mohammed, the country director, was there all the time to answer questions and to help facilitate discussions. Abdullah and Khadija, who are, the 3 of them are in my picture with me, are just outstanding. Khadija was there and she was just like a big sister, always there to help you out or to just chat or to do some beautiful henna or anything you wanted. And the home base was they were such comfortable, beautiful accommodations. It was a lovely, lovely home in a nice part of the town, but protected at all times. There was a night guard and a day guard, so we were always taken care of very well. A really safe driver, Abdu, who took us everywhere we wanted to go. And just really comfortable, delicious food, the resource room, everything. The home base is fantastic in Morocco.
Awesome. So, Kaylee, is that part of the reason why you went back 3 times, was the home base?
Absolutely. I miss all three of them so much, Mohammed, Hadija, and Abdullah. They're just wonderful people and really open and honest, and you can ask them any questions that you have about the country and about your experiences there. They really made my first experience and had a huge part in me returning again to Morocco. And just like Natasha was talking about, the house far exceeded or the home base far exceeded my expectations. It was just very comfortable, incredibly safe. The garden is beautiful. It's a really nice place at the end of the day to either sit with your fellow volunteers and talk about your experiences or write in your journal. And it really, does feel like home after a while.
That's so great. So on top of the in-country staff, how important were the fellow volunteers to your experience, would you say?
Incredibly. I think that's another really nice thing about cross-cultural solutions is that you have this kind of built-in network of support. I know other people that have done different programs and sometimes have felt lonely or just a little bit more isolated. The wonderful thing about CCS is that you have every day when you come home from your placement, you have people that you can share your ideas with, ask questions or concerns, or just talk about triumphs that you've had at your placement. So you just end up forming these really wonderful friendships because you're supporting one another throughout the experiences. I've never had a bad experience with my fellow volunteers. I've made wonderful friendships and met up with many of the people that I volunteered with after the program as well. So they're a really integral part.
Yeah, totally, me too. You keep in contact with people and meet up with them. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Huge part of it. Erica, I know we've been joking about this yesterday, actually, when we were chatting. What's it like being the Canadian volunteer? Because there are quite a few Americans. What were some of the things you found being the Canadian?
Well, I was the only Canadian, and we had about 20 other Americans, and we had one Australian. So the Australian and I very much bonded because we were getting teased after just because we said A so much and because of how we said about differently and just even just the way we acted, just always kind of coming up with ideas and just it was a very funny situation because I come home now and every time I say it, either A or any Canadian little quirks that I notice it now. So, that's what made the connection with the other volunteers very fun because even if we're all from different places, we're still able to kind of laugh about each other and have and sort of learn about each other also because the Americans still had some very interesting questions for me. And
what were some of their questions?
Well, even just like I do like. Is it cold up in Canada? Like it must be freezing all year, or in and I told them I work as a swimming lesson teacher outdoors. They're like, oh, the water doesn't freeze, or things like that. So it's very hilarious to even talk to people like that because not only is it a cultural experience for you that you're in a completely different country, but it's also a cultural experience for other people. So.
It's so true. Cross-cultural solutions funny. In the home base.
Yeah, exactly. So.
That's awesome. Did you have a favorite cultural and learning activity when you were there, Erica?
I absolutely loved learning Swahili. I absolutely loved it. They had a local teacher come in and teach us just basic Swahili. It was every day. And she would come in, and it was very neat to learn it because the next day, you'd go on your placement, you'd go to volunteer in whatever you're volunteering in, and you felt like you were more knowledgeable. You felt like you were able to maybe talk to the children, or I was dealing more with patients, with HIV and AIDS patients, so I felt like I was able to reach out to them and help them more, and even just the fact that you feel more comfortable in the community, if someone says hello to you, you're able to say hi back, you know? And as a volunteer, and a volunteer especially in a rural city in Africa, I really felt the need to sort of know the language because you stick out like a sore thumb. So when you go and talk, you know, they respect you in a way. They respect you and say, okay, you know, she's a volunteer, we respect her, and it was very great. It was all around a great cultural experience to learn the language, and yeah, you learn some pretty cool words.
That's so great. So beyond Hakuna Matata, right?
Yes, exactly. My knowledge of Swahili went past Lion King this time, which is good.
Oh, wow. You got me beat. That's great. What was the home base like for you in Bagamoyo?
Oh, it was wonderful. It was so nice. I also did not expect this. We first came up to this nice, beautiful gated house. So I couldn't see the house when we first came in, but it's nice and gated. You walked in, and it felt like a summer paradise. And I had a roommate. I had a roommate from New York, and she was great. You know, they offer everything for you. You know, oftentimes the showers were kind of cold, but other than that, it was great. And
refreshing.
Yeah, it was exactly, and it's hot in Africa, so it was quite nice. But the staff was amazing. They were always there. I miss Zeke to death. He was there from breakfast till after dinner, always talking to us and always had great conversations. The cooking staff is always cooking. Even at 5 a.m. in the morning, I hear them outside my window, and they make incredible food and just a beautiful place to stay. It was very safe. It was an oasis. You know, I come home from the placement, and I'd be able to just relax and even, you know, learn my Swahili or do whatever I want during my free time. So it was very nice.
Awesome. And Natasha, for you, what was your favorite cultural and learning activity?
Well, as I was doing the intern abroad program, there were all sorts of different lectures available to me and available to all the members there. And I really think that a lot of the cultural discussions that we had I would definitely say were my favorite. We had discussions on Islam led by Muhammad. We had discussions on the status of street children in Morocco, which was exactly right on point with what my placement was, and the role of women's place in Morocco, in Moroccan society. And Khadija led that one, and I just thought that those discussions were just fantastic because they just open your eyes to the real culture and what was really going on there, the good and the bad. And they were led by people who were born and bred in Morocco, and so they really know the climate, they really know what's going on, they have their finger on the pulse there, so they know, they really understand the issues, and they were really able to speak to them so eloquently and just facilitate these excellent discussions.
Great. And would you say it helped with your volunteer work as well?
Without a doubt. I found at the very beginning, for the first, I'd say, week and a half, well, the entire time, but primarily the first week and a half, I found my placement difficult in that I was teaching these kids who were just so beautiful and so sweet and so loving, and understanding that at the end of the day, as Erica says, these places that we are staying are these oases, they're so, so beautiful. But reckoning that we're seeing the good with also understanding the bad that's going on in these societies, and understanding that I was teaching these kids who were so lovely and so loving, and knowing that at the end of the day I was leaving to go home to this well taken care of home, and they were out on the streets. It was definitely difficult for me, and I don't know how I would have reacted to that or how I would have processed that had it not been for the home-based staff and for those discussions that were facilitated. Knowing that there are people there who are just so, so concerned with the status of these children really helped me get through the day-to-day.
No, I think that's a really important point, too, because a lot of our country locations are in places where there will be a lot of affluence right next to abject poverty, to be quite honest, and learning how to deal with that that huge fissure and being able to move between those two worlds like you were it's not easy. And the in-country staff are definitely helpful in helping you adjust to that culture shock, essentially. And they let you know, this is how things work. And they give you that place to sound off and understand what's happening and help you wrap your head around it, basically, because it's definitely not easy. So I'm glad you mentioned that. Yeah, awesome. All right. That leads me to free time activities. So, Kaylee, what did you like to do in both of your country locations, Morocco and Tanzania, for free time?
Okay. In terms of after placements, I just wanted to say in Morocco, you do different activities in the afternoon after your placement, and I loved Mohammed and Hadija and Abdullah's talk so much that even though they were on similar topics for the 3 years that I went back, I stayed and listened to them each time and got something different out of them each time. So
cool.
They were that interesting and that good. So in addition to that, though, there's so much to see and do in Morocco. It's just incredibly diverse, and that was something that I didn't know before going there as well. When you're in the afternoons after cultural activities, you can go into town, into the Medinas. Just walking around is amazing. And when you do your city tours in the beginning as well, they introduce you to a lot of really amazing areas that you can go back and visit. And then on the weekends, you have the opportunity to travel to so many places. So while I was in Morocco, I guess I'll include all 3 times, I was able to go on an overnight trip to the Sahara Desert, where you go through the Atlas Mountains. You stay overnight there, you hike and see the monkeys, and then you continue on the next day and go on camel through the Sahara and sleep under the stars in the Sahara. So I did that trip. I went to Essaouira, which is a beach town with beautiful whitewashed walls, kind of like Greece. I visited Marrakesh and the famous Jama al-Sana. What else? I went to Volubilis, which is an ancient Roman ruined town just north. And then my absolute favorite was the ancient town of Fez, which I visited each time I returned back to Morocco. It's just 3 hours away, and the trains in Morocco are very efficient and super affordable and very, very, very safe. So it was really easy to get there. So those were all my trips in Morocco. And then in Tanzania, it's kind of similar, everything, and there's just so much to see and do. So weekend trips, I went on safari, which of course was mind-blowing. What else did I do? I did a day hike up Kilimanjaro. I know many people, including some volunteers I worked with, stayed after their trip and did the full hike, which takes at least 5 nights. I also went to Zanzibar and visited some waterfalls, some coffee tours, and then one of our cultural events was visiting an orphanage, and I kind of fell in love with the children there. So in the afternoons, after other cultural activities, I would take a taxi and go back to the orphanage and spend a few hours there with some of my other volunteers that also just loved playing with the kids. So
oh my goodness, you did so much.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so great. And I guess it sounds like it really added a lot onto your experience too by doing all those things.
Absolutely. It's a very busy schedule, so it takes a little bit to get used to, but you're just so immersed in everything, and it just contributes to the experience 100%. And having that opportunity to experience the culture in such a well-rounded and full way is really important, and I think is one of the reasons why cross-cultural solutions is really, really effective. And you just end up meeting so many wonderful people, too.
Oh, so true. Absolutely. Would you say that's the case for you too, Erica?
Yeah, absolutely. And I feel like when I was in Tanzania, the staff over there was very helpful in even giving you ideas about what to do, because you do really want to go beyond the home base, because then you don't even get the full experience, then who knows? Maybe, I mean, obviously not for Kaylee, but yeah, this may be the only time that you can go abroad and do a big trip to Morocco or Tanzania in my case. I'm definitely hoping to go back, but when I was there, I wanted to take advantage of anything I could really do. So I also did a Zanzibar weekend. I was one of the volunteers who did stay back, and I went up north towards Kilimanjaro, and I did a day hike up there, and I did a long safari through the Serengeti and everything like that. So it really gave me a perspective of not only how people live there, but how beautiful this country is. And yeah, you can see everything on TV. However, seeing it in real life is unimaginable. It's absolutely incredible, and it made the experience a complete trip. It made it really worthwhile, all of everything I did. So
Awesome. Oh, so good. Did you go to Fez too, Natasha?
I did, yeah. It sounds like Kaylee was describing the exact tour that I did. I visited all those cities as well as Casablanca, and Fez was absolutely, yeah, I'd say that Fez and Essaouira were my favorites as well. It was just, they were all such beautiful places. And again, it's such an easy country to get around. The train systems are so efficient and so well kept up that traveling around was really easy.
Great. And I remember you talking about the different colored taxis for the towns. I just thought that was fascinating.
Yeah, they have these little Fiat cars, and they're all called petit taxis, literally little taxis. And every city has a different colored taxi. So in Fez, they're red. In Casablanca, they're turquoise. And in Rabat, where the home base is, they're like kind of an indigo blue. So it's always really easy to spot a taxi, no matter what city you're in. You figure out the color, and you just know exactly what you're looking for.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, before I talked a little bit more about the CCS staff, I kind of wanted to touch on each of your placements, because we talked about the free time activities, which are awesome, but I know that each of you guys had really amazing experiences at your volunteer placements. Kaylee, were you happy with how the organization placed you when you were in Morocco specifically?
Absolutely. Everything that I mentioned in my survey seemed to be listened to, because in both countries, both placements were pretty much exactly orientated to what I was interested in, what my strengths were, what I was looking to get out of the program. And I had amazing experiences. In Morocco, I worked all 3 times, as per my request, at Lala Mariam, which was a center for abandoned children, so ultimately an orphanage. And then when I was in Tanzania this past May, I was teaching in a nursery school, so I have experience as a kindergarten teacher, so it was a perfect age group, and I really felt like, I think you guys have it here as my quote, that I really felt like I could contribute, and also, in addition to teaching the students, help educate the teacher as well, and they were so open to that. And obviously I learned many things from them as well, songs that I brought back with me to Canada, and books that incorporate Swahili, which my students here love. But just that cultural exchange at my placement teaching was really valuable, and definitely well suited to what I was looking for.
So great. Awesome. Because I talk with a lot of people, and I think one of their major concerns is, you know, will I be needed? Will I be making a difference? And did you feel like you did when you were there?
Absolutely. I think that was always my concern too. That you feel a little bit like, you know, you're going in and you don't know how well you're going to be received, and
yep.
and in all of my experiences, they were so happy to have you there, have an extra set of hands. Like speaking to Tanzania, because I was just there, the school really thrives off having volunteers from CCS as teachers. The parents know about it. The children love it. They actually have had 3 consecutive Canadian teachers at that school, so the students know a lot about Canada They have a flag up on the wall, and they made construction paper flags. And
oh, so cute.
Someone asked them if they had heard of snow, and one little girl said, "Yes, it's in my refrigerator," which I thought was absolutely adorable. But absolutely, I think you're very well received, and you can give back so much, even in such a short period of time. And I think it was Natasha and maybe Erica as well who mentioned it, but the fact that there is that continuous, sustainable amount of volunteers coming, I think it really contributes to the community, and we can learn so much from them as well.
Absolutely. We actually have a question from some people online, and I think you can answer this. Kaylee, do we need a visa to get to Morocco?
Morocco, no. If you're a Canadian citizen, no. You'll get
there you go.
In your passport. Yeah, no, not at all.
Which is a wonderful bonus because it's yeah, it's very easy to get there. Now, Erica, on the other hand, when it comes to Tanzania, what are Canadians in for when it comes to visas?
Visas is it's $80. I can tell you that. So
$80, great.
Yeah, you do need a visa. I actually, since I was in Ottawa, I walked into the embassy and I gave my application. It was
oh no.
It was very easy, actually. And if you're not in Ottawa, then you just send it in. It's very not complicated at all. Now, when you do get into Tanzania, it's a little bit complicated, actually. The visa is $80. However, you do need to get an extra CC. It's called a CC. What is it? Anyways, it's a stamp that you have to get to basically permit you to work in Tanzania. So that costed me an extra $200 when I was there. So in total, to basically get into the country and to actually volunteer, it's about $280 in total, which it did obviously put a little dent in my bank. However, in the end, you do it, and it's wonderful, and it's great. And yeah, I mean, obviously asking the program advisor, which Katie was amazing at letting us know everything about it. She will let you know. You always ask the questions, obviously, and know exactly what you need to get everything all sorted out. And then once it's done, you're good to go. So that was how I went with it. So
great. Well, we're starting to come to the end of the hour, but I would really like to have everyone talk a little more about their placement and then offer their pieces of advice for future volunteers. So, Erica, tell us about what you did when you were in Tanzania.
Okay. Well, I worked at a HIV and AIDS clinic, which is called Ukun, which is the picture right there. And they basically offer home-based care to people affected by HIV and AIDS. Now, in Tanzania, it's obviously it's a very poor country, and there are many people affected by HIV and AIDS. So they do not have the funds to be able to go to the hospital and get regular checkups, to get attention for any problems, really. So Ukun is a non-profit, non-governmental organization that goes house to house and offers any basic care that they can. And they use CCS volunteers with nursing backgrounds, such as I do, to give the knowledge to the staff at Ukun so they can potentially help more to the people. So I went in and we went to, I would do some office work, so I actually started up a website for them. Or I would go house to house and offer care. We had women who were affected by HIV and AIDS and had complications due to, for example, malaria. So we actually helped one woman begin to walk again, and by the end of my 3 weeks, she ended up doing 6 steps on her own. So things like that was absolutely so fulfilling. I loved it, and as my advice for future volunteers says, it's just take a chance and really do anything you can, even if you don't know the language, you don't have any nursing background. Like there was one girl in my group that worked at Ukun who had a literature background. She had no idea of any nursing care ever. So she was very afraid, but she was one of the most helpful because she was able to take the chance and really put an input. She would always ask if we ever need any help or anything like that. So that was kind of my day-to-day plan when I walked into Ukum. So.
Great. Wow. That's fantastic. You got a lot done, my friend.
Yes, I did. It was great.
All right. Natasha, you were already talking so beautifully about your placement. If you wanted to tell us a little bit more about that and then offer some advice. And then we have some questions for you guys, it looks like. So take it away, my dear.
Absolutely. So as I mentioned, the school that I was working at was called Ibni, which means my child in Arabic. And so I would do rotations in 3 different classrooms. I started in the classroom for 3-year-olds, which had a couple of babies as well. There were permanent teachers at the school all the time. And while there were the babies in the 3-year-olds class, there were nurses in there with them. And I would go to the 3-year-olds, then the 4-year-olds, then the 5-year-olds class. And I would do a combination of teaching just very, very introductory English. And I used, especially with the younger kids, I just used a lot of songs and a lot of music, which I was able to incorporate as my university degree is in music. So I was able to incorporate that and to just really start to kind of, you're there to, it's a school, so definitely starting to teach a little bit. But I found that, you know, these kids could learn a way to get their ABCs and their 1, 2, 3s. But they need that human contact and they need that human connection and that little bit of love, I think, as they obviously aren't able to get that at home. And the teachers there are wonderful, but they're really strapped. They just don't have enough help on their own. So I think that they're so appreciative of the CCS volunteers who are there. We were treated so warmly and so kindly by all of the teachers. On my last day, one of the teachers didn't realize that I was leaving, and I left her classroom and went on to another, and she chased me down the hall, and she'd written me a little note while I was teaching saying, please come back, and they're just so appreciative and so warm. I have never interacted with children who have as much just natural facility as these kids in Morocco had, and just such a yearning and an eagerness for teaching. So I think that if you are interested in doing any sort of teaching, whether it's English, French, music, anything that you want to just really be helping out in the education realm, I can't think that there would be a single country within the CCS community that would not work for you, because I think that so many of these communities just want that opportunity to practice English and to just have that opportunity to get on their feet with that, because it really does open so many doors. So I was starting with the very, very little ones, but it was a phenomenal experience. And any advice that I would offer to volunteers would definitely be to just go in with as open a mind as you can. You never know how much you can learn from anybody else, whether it's for me it was the in-country staff and the teachers, but also the very young kids I was working with. So just an open mind is the best thing you can take with you.
Great. I completely agree 100%. Keep an open mind and you never know what's going to happen to you. Good things come your way.
That's right.
Awesome. All right. What are some of these questions that we have from people for our lovely alumni?
All right. So yeah, thanks Natasha for sharing all of your stories and your volunteer work. It sounds like you had a really, really great time and touched many, many lives. So a question we have is completely shifting gear from your volunteer work to your free time or your cultural learning activities, something that you did different. So we're just asking, how much spending money did you take with you to Morocco while you were there? Just kind of an estimate.
Yeah, that's actually a really good question to ask for Morocco, because as far as the law stood last year when I went, you could only take in about 1,500 dirham, which is their currency, into the country. So that equates to just over 100 Canadian dollars. So I took that. I took as much as I was legally allowed to take into the country. And then they had ATMs all over the place that were completely compatible with my cards. And I found that depending on the types of excursions that you would do, I'd say I probably spent less than $1,000 doing all of my trips. It was very, very economically friendly to get around the country. $1,000 seems like a lot sometimes, but when you think about, like, I went on 5 different trips within the country where I went away for a weekend, stayed in beautiful riads. So I took 1,500 dirham, but I think that I used probably about $1,000 in the month that I was there in terms of like all the souvenirs and everything that I bought.
Wow, wow, that's great.
Yeah.
All right. So Erica, we have a question for you. How did you arrange your flights? Did you have trouble booking it? Were there any specific sites that you used? I mean, how did it all come together?
All right. That's a very good question, actually, because it is a very long excursion to get over there. It's actually ended up being 3 flights there and back. However, I have some connections here. I used my Aeroplan, so I don't know if it's kind of a. I didn't really go with any travel companies. My dad's also a travel agent, so he was able to plan all that out for me. So that's probably not the best question for me. Yeah.
Great.
Yeah, so I mean, if you go through someone, you'll be able to plan your flights accordingly. It's always best to, since it is such a complicated process to get there, it's definitely easier to get someone to help you out. And in total, it took about 22 hours to get to Tanzania.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a long excursion, but that was my experience with planning my flights. However, definitely get someone to help you out, because then all the layovers will be good and all the flights will be okay, and you'll get to where you need to go properly. So.
Oh, okay, great, thank you. Great. So going to Kaylee. So we know that you volunteered abroad with your family. What could you tell us what kind of options there are available in either Morocco or Tanzania for people who are looking to volunteer with their families? And are children under 12 able to volunteer?
Sure. I'm not sure about the children under 12, but after my first experience in Morocco, I told my mom all about it, and after hearing my story, she really wanted to go. So my second trip to Morocco, she came with me, and CCS was really wonderful at making her feel comfortable and accommodating us in the same room. And while we were there on my second trip, there was actually 2 other groups. One was a father and a daughter, and the other one was another mom and her son. So there was a bunch of families, and all of us were roomed just together. So that was really nice, as long as it's available, like the spaces available in the home bases. They're really wonderful with accommodating that. And at the time, I mean, I was I guess 20-something, but there was the boy that was there with his mom was probably about 14. So I think as long as you're with a chaperone or an older family member, CCS can help to make that work for you too. I'm not sure what the age limits are, but
yeah, thanks. Yeah, so you can actually volunteer in Morocco as young as 10, and then in Tanzania you can volunteer as young as 8. So we definitely welcome, young children who are tagging along with their families, and they'll actually be participating and volunteering alongside their parents. So it's a really neat experience for children, and it's really exciting that we get these families with kids, and they really they bring a different enthusiasm to the home base, and they're a lot of fun to work with. So yeah, thanks, Kaylee. All right, so that kind of ends our alumni discussion. As we had said, if there are any questions, you can always contact us. And this is our contact information. My email, hian@crosscultural solutions, is listed under that, and as well as Jelena's, and we're always available. You can give us a call at that 1-800 number. We're here Monday through Friday, 9 to 9 p.m. Eastern time, because we do have West Coast representatives, so they're here pretty late as well. So yes, thanks for joining us, and we look forward to speaking with you all again.
Yeah, absolutely. And I just wanted to say, if you're in the Toronto area, we have an office here. Feel free to drop by. My door's always open for people that want to come in and talk about volunteering. And we hold monthly information sessions at the office here. The next one will be in August. We'll send out information for people about that. And come on by and we can talk some more about volunteering in person.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
All right. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.